Alright, so you've got 200 quid to spunk out on your next smartphone. What do? Well, surprisingly, there's a lot of smartphones to choose from at this price point, so to help out a wee bit, here's a squint at some of my favourite budget mobiles that I've personally meddled with. Some of them even cost quite a bit under £200, so you'll have some cash left over for a tasty pint-shaped treat or two. So here's my pick of the best budget blowers that I've personally tested, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now, Motorola is certainly one of the most prolific manufacturers when it comes to budget blowers, offering some pretty tasty hardware and a lovely slick stock Android experience for a relatively skinny wad of cash. And one of its latest launches is this here Motorola Moto G54 5G. Motorola once again hasn't tinkered with Google's OS too much, although you do get an excellent selection of Motorola extras packed on top, including some slick security tools, a simple but respectably decent gaming mode, and yes, naturally some badass choppy torch effort. Although as usual with Motorola, the software support is shockingly pants. You can expect just a single Android OS upgrade with this thing to Android 14, although you do at least have the added reassurance of 3 years of bi-monthly security updates. This 6.5-inch smartphone can handle everyday life without cacking its metaphorical pants thanks to MediaTek's Dimensity 7020 chipset, which can cope with some light gaming on the side as well. And you'll get a good view of the action on that Full HD Plus IPS display, which maxes out at 120Hz refresh. And that's better than an £800 iPhone 15, hilariously. And likewise, you've got double the base storage of an iPhone 15 Pro, as well as a decent pair of stereo speakers and a headphone jack, huzzah! Battery life is bloody brilliant thanks to the 5000 mAh capacity cell that's stuffed inside of here, plus that energy efficient MediaTek Dimensity 7020 chipset which actually runs the show. Although the turbo power recharging ain't exactly super nippy, it will take over an hour at the plug to get a full charge. You've got yourself a simple 50 meg camera, which is fine for basic family pics, as long as there's not much motion involved, and that is backed by a basic macro shooter. Oh, and as well as the generous 256 gigs of storage, you've also got micro SD memory card support on the Moto G54, which again many flagships lack. Alternatively, Motorola has other options for under 200 quid, including the older Moto G23 and G32. Now, another brand that offers straight-laced stock Android smartphones at a pleasingly budget price point is Nokia, this time with the added bonus that you generally get some fairly respectable Android and security updates chucked in. And the Nokia G22 is a decent wee package that's designed to last you for years. This 6.5-inch blower looks a wee bit slicker than the Motorola's with its smart matte design, although once again it's got a placky back. And that moody blue model is rather fetching in an emo style I'm gonna murder my parents in their sleep kinda way. This has been upgraded to Android 13, should be upgraded to Android 14 imminently with any luck as well, and you've still got a couple of years of security updates for an extra bit of reassurance. And if you do bust the screen or the battery goes all screwy, then the good news is you can actually replace these components yourself, even with bugger all skills or knowledge, as I proved myself right here in this unboxing video with only moderate cursing and bloodletting. However, it's certainly not recommended if your hands aren't steady and your eyes are a bit crap. You've got NFC support here in the UK and a dual SIM setup, plus a separate micro SD slot to expand the storage. Meanwhile, that IPS screen is a mere 720p panel, but it is fine again for streaming YouTube, browsing the internet, whatever. Power and proceedings is the Unisoc T606 chipset, same as the previous gen, and once again this is fine for everyday stuff, but I wouldn't recommend gaming on it beyond the occasional jaunt on Call of Duty. In fact, I'd really like to see Nokia implement this quick fix design into a more powerful flagship style device, because really it's the performance that is probably going to be the limiting factor here, not to mention the fact that it will run out of support fairly soonish. Still, the 5000 mAh battery is practically impossible to drain in a single day, and it should keep most people going a couple of days between charges. And last up, that 50 megapixel rear shooter is perfectly fine for your everyday snapping shenanigans. Although that focus does struggle to latch onto subjects in a timely fashion, and moving subjects pretty much always pose a problem. Even cheaper is the Nokia G11, which also serves up seemingly never-ending battery life, and I actually found it less frustrating for gaming than the G21. It's a solid one for media streaming too, although once again that camera tech is basic at best. Definitely check out my full unboxing and hands-on review if you want to know more on all that shenanigans. And if you're a fan of bright, bold, in-your-face colours, well, you might well be swayed by this eye-poppingly pink Nokia G42. A phone that is so dazzling that even Barbie would be like, that's a bit much. It also comes in purple or grey if you can't handle all of that colour, and this once again serves up Nokia's quick fix design. As for the specs, well, they may sound a wee bit similar to that Nokia G22. That 6.56-inch IPS display is yet another basic 720p effort, this time maxing out at 90Hz refresh, while it's also sporting just a simple mono speaker setup. But still, that Snapdragon 480 Plus can handle everyday life no worries, providing a bit more beef than that unisoc effort in the G22. And once again, that 5000 mAh capacity battery can provide some pretty decent screen on time before you finally have to slap in a USB cable. And yep, you've got another 50 meg camera jammed onto that backside, which is simply fine. And for under 200 GBPs, you could also grab yourself a Poco M5, which should suit most everyday users just fine. That camera sensor is yet another 50 meg morpho, shock horror, and while low light shots often come out grainy as hell, the night mode does do something to temper this. And my test photos shot in kinda light looks pretty good, with plenty of detail packed in, as well as nice poppy colours. The Poco M5's 6.58-inch IPS screen is a Full HD plus 90Hz effort, which holds its own during any downtime when you want to slump on the sofa with some Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever. And there's even a headphone jack to get plugged in. MediaTek's Helio G99 chipset can cope with some light gaming on the side. And it's yet another 5000 mAh capacity battery, so once again I wasn't scrambling around for a USB cable in the early evenings. This thing will go a full day without a struggle. You got microSD memory card support and all the other features you would expect, and overall I've got no qualms at all recommending the Poco M5. Not everyone will get on with the MIUI launcher, of course, which can be a little bit quirky and certainly changes up the general vibe of Android, not to mention the fact you don't have the guaranteed updates that you do on a Nokia smartphone. But if that's not a deal breaker, then you'll certainly struggle to find better hardware on a smartphone at this sort of budget price. Now, Xiaomi is another manufacturer that offers a decent range of smartphones, once again stacked with beefy hardware, and one of my favourites for this £200 price point is the Redmi Note 11. This 6.43-inch smartphone sticks with the same MIUI experience as the Poco phones and likewise delivers some decent hardware for not much cash. The Snapdragon 680 SoC is once again on board and can handle light gaming without exploding, while the 5000 mAh battery won't run dry unless you're seriously punishing this thing with 33-watt fast charging on top. You also get 128 gigs of storage expandable via microSD like many other budget phones in this roundup, and while the camera tech may be pretty basic, it ain't that bad at all. Yes, the 50 meg primary camera sensor does struggle in less than ideal lighting, but otherwise it's good for your everyday shareable shots. You've also got a punchy AMOLED display which hits 90Hz refresh and pumps out punchy visuals with a crisp Full HD Plus resolution. And while the stereo speaker arrangement isn't exactly mind-blowing, for this low price it's a solid bit of kit. And the last time I checked, you can actually get the fresher Redmi Note 12 for under £200 on the Xiaomi website. Personally, I've only reviewed the 5G model, which is still over 200 quid, but the regular Redmi Note 12 sports similar specs and near identical design. The primary camera is switched up a bit and it's powered by a different chipset, the still capable Snapdragon 4 Gen 1. So as long as you can live with the lack of 5G, it's another option at this budget price. And before I bugger right off, I'd also like to throw a wee bit of love at the Realme 8 5G, which again these days can be snaffled for under £200. This once again boasts 5G support, as the name heavily suggests, and while it's not as fully featured as the nifty Realme 8 Pro, the MediaTek Dimensity 700 chipset makes for respectable performance. You got a 90Hz IPS screen which is slick and sharp, and the long-lasting battery life means zero stress when you're out and about. And also consider the Realme C31 and C35, which cost under 150 quid. There's only £20 between them, but I was more impressed with the C35, which boasts a better screen, more storage, faster charging, and quite a few other improvements. Although the camera has the nasty habit of saturating any shots that you take outdoors. And there you have it, my lovelies. That's my full roundup of the best budget smartphones you can grab for under £200 right now in the UK that I've personally had a bit of a fondle with. You'll find full unboxings, reviews, comparisons, etc. with a lot of them right here on TechSpert. It'd be great to hear your own personal favourites as well when it comes to the best £200 budget blows. Let us know in the comments below. Please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell, all the usual YouTube guff, and have yourselves a wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you.